Inheriting an old house was both a surprise and a burden. The house came with a history that had an eerie weight to it. Inside the dusty attic, among the forgotten relics, was a doll that sent a shiver down my spine the moment I laid eyes on it. The doll, with its cracked porcelain skin and unsettling grin, was like something out of a nightmare. My daughter, Lily, seemed drawn to it, her curious fingers brushing against its lifeless form. But there was something in the doll's eyes, something that made my heart race. As days turned into nights, strange things began to happen. Objects moved on their own, whispers echoed through the halls, and a cold chill seemed to linger in the air. Lily would talk to the doll, whispering secrets to it, and sometimes, I could swear I heard a faint response. One night, as I tucked Lily into bed, she clung to the doll. "The doll says it wants to play with them, Mommy." A chill ran down my spine as I kissed her forehead and turned off the lights. I tried to dismiss it as childish imagination, but the feeling of being watched persisted. As the days went on, Lily's behavior grew more erratic. She would sit for hours, talking to the doll in hushed tones. Her once bright eyes were now clouded, as if a shadow had fallen over her innocence. I considered taking the doll away, but Lily's grip on it was unyielding. One night, I woke up to Lily's voice, soft and sing-song, drifting through the house. I followed the sound to the living room, where Lily was sitting with the doll, her eyes vacant. She looked up at me, her voice a haunting whisper, "The doll wants them to pay, Mommy." My heart pounded as I listened to Lily's words. The doll seemed to have a sinister influence over her, like a puppeteer pulling the strings. Desperate, I reached out to a friend who knew about these things. Sarah, a paranormal investigator, arrived with an air of seriousness. She examined the doll, her brow furrowing as she ran her fingers over its worn features. "This doll is more than just a doll," Sarah said, her voice low. "It's a vessel for a malevolent spirit seeking revenge." She explained that the doll's past was marred with tragedy, and the spirit within it was driven by a desire for vengeance. My heart sank as I realized the extent of the horror we were facing. Sarah proposed a ritual, a way to sever the connection between Lily and the doll's spirit. The process was unsettling, involving candles and chants that sent a shiver down my spine. As Sarah's words filled the room, I could feel a weight in the air, as if something was building. And then, in an instant, the atmosphere changed. The room grew icy, and the air seemed to thicken. I watched as Lily's eyes turned to the doll, her voice joining Sarah's in a chorus of eerie whispers. I wanted to intervene, to stop whatever was happening, but I was paralyzed by the intensity of it all. As the ritual reached its climax, a gust of wind swept through the room, extinguishing the candles. The air seemed to shimmer with strange energy before everything fell silent. I looked at Sarah, my heart pounding. "Is it over?" She nodded, her expression a mixture of relief and exhaustion. "The spirit has been weakened, but the doll's curse remains." I glanced at the doll, now lying on the floor, its lifeless eyes staring up at me. The realization hit me, the doll's curse was not broken, only subdued. Days passed, and the atmosphere in the house seemed lighter. Lily's behavior returned to normal, and I dared to hope that the worst was behind us. But one night, as I lay in bed, I heard a soft whisper, so faint it could have been my imagination. "Thank you." The word hung in the air, and a shiver ran down my spine. I thought I was alone in the room, but something was there with me. As the days went on, the whispers grew louder, the shadows darker. Lily's behavior shifted again, her eyes clouding over. I realized with a sinking feeling that the spirit's revenge was not quenched, it had merely shifted its focus. And then, as if in a nightmare, the truth hit me, the colossal twist that turned our world upside down. The spirit wasn't seeking revenge against us, it was using Lily as its vessel to exact its revenge on those who had wronged it. As I watched Lily with a mixture of fear and sadness, I understood that the spirit's thirst for vengeance had not been appeased. It had simply found a new way to continue its malevolent mission. In the end, the cursed doll had brought not only a haunting presence into our lives but a legacy of darkness that would follow us forever. And as the whispers grew louder, and the air grew heavier, I realized that our nightmare was far from over. It was only just beginning. In a quiet corner of the antique store, I spotted a delicate porcelain doll. It had an air of melancholy about it, with its sad expression and lifelike eyes that seemed to hold a story. Mesmerized, I reached out and touched its smooth surface, feeling an odd connection to the little figure. I decided to purchase the doll, a decision that would soon unravel a haunting mystery in my life. At first, things seemed innocent enough. I placed the doll on a shelf in my room, its eyes following me as I moved around. But as the days turned into nights, I began to experience unsettling nightmares. Vivid and terrifying, they featured a young girl with sorrowful eyes, reaching out to me from the darkness. The nightmares left me shaken, but what truly unnerved me was the feeling that someone was watching me, even when I was awake. It was as if an invisible presence lingered in the shadows, its gaze fixed on me. One night, unable to bear it any longer, I decided to research the origins of the doll. My heart raced as I read an old newspaper article online. The doll had once belonged to a girl named Eleanor, who had died tragically in a fire that had consumed her family's home. According to the article, Eleanor's body was never found, and the fire's cause remained a mystery. The sorrowful expression on the doll's face suddenly took on a deeper meaning. It was as if Eleanor's spirit was trapped within, forever haunted by the tragedy of her past. Fear tightened its grip on me, but I couldn't bring myself to part with the doll. Instead, I found myself drawn to it, as if some invisible force was compelling me to uncover the truth. One night, as I sat in my room, the air grew heavy, and a chill swept through the room. The doll's eyes seemed to glimmer with an ethereal light as a voice whispered in my mind, "Help me." I blinked, my heart pounding. "Eleanor? Is that you?" A soft breeze rustled the curtains, and I felt a presence in the room, gentle and comforting. The doll's eyes seemed to convey gratitude, and a vision flashed before me, the raging fire, Eleanor's desperate cries, and her life slipping away. As days turned into weeks, I learned more about Eleanor's life. She had been a kind and gentle soul, beloved by her community. But her death had left a stain of sorrow, an injustice that had never been resolved. With Eleanor's guidance, I delved deeper into the history of the fire. I discovered that the tragedy was no accident. It had been a deliberate act of arson, meant to cover up a sinister secret. A malevolent entity had taken root within the house, seeking to consume the innocent. Eleanor's spirit had lingered, bound by her own sadness and a sense of duty to protect others from the malevolent force. Her presence was the reason I had been plagued by nightmares. She was trying to warn me, to guide me in uncovering the truth. Together, Eleanor and I embarked on a quest to confront the malevolent entity. Armed with the knowledge of its weakness, we journeyed back to the ruins of Eleanor's family home. The night was thick with tension as we stood before the remnants of the house. The entity manifested before us, its form shifting and writhing with darkness. Eleanor's presence gave me strength, and as she faced the malevolent entity, a battle of spirits ensued. In a blinding flash of light, the entity was banished, its malevolence dissipated. As the darkness receded, Eleanor's spirit stood before me, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You freed me," she whispered, her voice like a gentle breeze. "Thank you." As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Eleanor's spirit began to fade, her presence growing faint. With a final smile, she whispered, "Remember, you are never truly alone." And just like that, she was gone, leaving behind a sense of peace that had been absent for so long. As the sun rose, its warm rays filling the room, I realized that the nightmares had ceased. The doll still sat on the shelf, but its expression had changed. It now bore a serene smile, as if Eleanor's spirit had found the peace it had longed for. I had not only uncovered a haunting mystery but had forged an unexpected bond with a spirit from the past. Eleanor's sacrifice had protected me from the malevolent entity, and in doing so, she had found her own redemption. And as I looked at the doll, I felt a sense of gratitude. For Eleanor had not only saved me from a sinister force but had also shown me the power of courage, kindness, and the enduring strength of the human spirit, even in the face of the darkest of horrors.